What's up, everyone? Morey Croson here from the Performance Lab of California. We're going to do another throw breakdown here today on Warren Moon. I've been trying to do more breakdowns of people that I've gotten the recommendations for rather than the guys that I'm just interested in. Of course, through the recommendation and my interest depends on how fast I go through the guys, but I want to make it so I'm getting more of the things that you guys like. So we've gotten plenty of people that have asked about Warren Moon. I've been meaning to do Warren Moon for a little bit, but just had another guy that brought him up again. So I said I got to do Warren Moon. So now we'll break it down. Warren Moon has a very, very interesting release because he has something that a lot of times I end up trying to teach out of people just because it seems like overall not a great habit. Now I think one of the reasons that Warren Moon was able to perform well in this is just because he's a very big guy. But then he's also able to get a lot of he has a lot of core strength as well, and that ends up being a big thing. So what he ends up doing as he's throwing is he ends up creating a lot of, he kind of leans back a lot when he's going through his throw. And when you lean back, you end up putting a lot of pressure on the low back, and that's usually why I try to train that out of people. Now really slowing it down, you can see he does do a good job of really getting those hips all the way through, so he's not leaned back too much, but you can definitely see that he does have some spine. He does lean back a little bit in the spine there. But that's one of the things that makes it so he has a very, very good deep ball is because he gets so much disassociation between the hips and that lower back, and he really loads up a lot right in that kind of lower QL as he's going back, or like lower low back area. So as he's going here, he really has a big load here, and how he brings his arm out to the side is very interesting. I mean, there's almost no quarterback coaches that you could see or that you could find that would teach a guy to do kind of what he does with his front arm, where he just kind of slings it open like that. I certainly wouldn't, just because it ends up just having a lot of some potential accuracy problems with how you're doing that there, and you just want to make that front shoulder a little bit more controlled and stabilized. Now, I think that's what it's able to make it so he still gets the power, is that he opens up this front shoulder really early and just has, basically his left hip's all the way open, his left shoulder's all the way open, and he has a lot of range of motion in the pec to really reach back and still be able to throw. And that's where a lot of his strength came from, is he has a lot of pec strength and a lot of ability to lengthen the pec, because he's a tall, big guy as well. So that's one of the things he does. I wanted to get that view so then you could at least see kind of how he steps and rotates, and how he has that force on that front leg as he's going through the throw. And he does a good job of continuing rotation there onto that front leg, but the next throw you could see a little bit more of the front view and how he kind of opens it all up. But you can still see, so his hips open first, right? See how those hips are opening? Then it's the shoulder, and yeah, that shoulder gets through a little bit too early as well, but he's able to, that's what generates the velocity, right? There's a lot of stretch there. Okay, now he's on maximum stretch. You can see how much he's putting on that pec, and that's what makes it so now he could just sling that ball all the way through. One of the things that I've been talking to people a lot recently too, and I think it's a good thing to think about, is make sure as you're coming through here, that elbow is really the first thing that comes through, right? See how when he's coming back and as he begins that transition of bringing that back elbow through, how it's the elbow that leads the throw, right? So it's the elbow comes forward first, and then it's a snap through. Okay, you want to be able to, as you're on your way back, you want to feel that elbow lead the way, and then ball comes through. Also, he does a good job of being on top of the ball. See how when he's coming through, his hand is basically right on the side of the ball. It's not underneath the ball. He doesn't let that his wrist bend as he's coming through. That's a big problem that I see, is a lot of times the wrist ends up bent and the ball's on top of the hand. But he does a good job of having a very strong hand, and that makes it so when he throws the football, he's able to get a lot of whip, a lot of rotation through the throw. So, really what his big thing is his ability to stretch in his pec, right? So he gets that left hip open. He lets that left shoulder open a lot there, how both those parts of his body are really far open. He still has that ball back loading up. I mean, even this position, he's still loading here, right? Because you can see he's still bringing that ball back. He does an interesting thing where this is definitely something that a lot of guys don't do, that because he doesn't really get to that 90-90 position. He just kind of brings the ball straight back and then straight up, and then he goes back and around, right? So see how he goes back and around to make it so that elbow comes through? That's a way to make it so the guys that just lift the ball straight up, that's a way to make it so it works. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is the guys that get to this position, the first thing that comes forward is that elbow just comes through and they start rotating. Okay, and that ends up being an inaccuracy. What he's doing that's making a difference is he gets that ball right up back behind by his head, and then he brings the ball back and around, right? See how that ball, the first movement is to go back and around as that elbow's coming through. Now that elbow ends up coming straight through and the ball comes right up overhead rather than the ball coming across. And so he still throws and delivers that ball straight ahead rather than a lot of times when you have guys that get into this position right here, then they end up circling that elbow around, which impacts the throw. So very interesting to see it all from that perspective and seeing, how he's able to succeed there. Okay, this one, he's just really driving it home here. Look how well he gets that disassociation. That's the big thing. I mean, he really turns that hip open. His hips are basically facing straight ahead. His shoulders all the way turned open. He drives that elbow through and then really puts that snap on the ball. And that's what made him great, is that he's able to get so much hip rotation here. I mean, it really reminds me of a lot of Tom Brady. Looking at this throw right now, because of how much he's able to get that hip turned and then how much that elbow really leads the way. Okay, Tom Brady does a great job of this as well, where he's back here and really stretches out in his hips and his lower core, and then from there allows that elbow to come through and generates a lot of force behind the throw. And that's really a tough thing to do when it comes to throwing the deep ball. I think there's a lot of guys out there who are effective as a quarterback from 30 yards and under. And I think that's important. I mean, as a quarterback, you have to at least be effective from 30 yards and under. But in order to get to that elite level status, you got to be able to throw the deep ball. You got to be able to put some force behind the ball when to get it all downfield and to throw a ball 40 yards with some power, throw a ball 60 yards. That's going to be what really separates you and ensures you a spot at the next level. And I think one of the key things that you can do in order to implement that, to follow what Warren Moon's doing as well as what Tom Brady's doing, is get that elbow through effectively and make it so that then you could create that snap of the wrist and snap of the arm as you're throwing, and also be able to work on that disassociation. Get those hips to come through first, pivot off that back leg, push off that back leg, and let those hips start moving, and then let the elbow follow through, or elbow come through first, and then hard snap of the wrist. I think those three things are the most commonly underutilized things as a quarterback. I'll say it one more time. First one is not pivoting fast enough on that back leg, not getting those hips all the way through. Second one is not bringing that elbow through first as you're coming through the throw, or as you're transitioning from your loading phase to the release phase. And then the last part of it is not getting that wrist snap, not having an effective wrist snap on the football. There's a lot of guys that are missing that, and that's something that's developed over time. Okay, that wrist snap is something that you get as you start to create more and more velocity in your arm when you're throwing. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching these videos. We have our whole 5-month off-season program where we're doing these breakdowns for people. That is available right now. You get the ebook, you get access to our online membership, you get access to our shoulder strengthening program and exercise program specifically developed for quarterbacks, the development of strength in the shoulder, development of strength in the core, development of strength in the lower body. All that is part of that program, as well as 10 individual breakdowns. We're going to go over 5 months. Every 2 weeks, you send in another video. We give you more information about how to throw the football better, how to maximize your mechanics. If you want to become a biomechanically better quarterback this offseason, that is the thing to do, is to do that 5-month off-season program. It's going to make it so guys can throw way, way better, have way more velocity, put way more on the ball. It's going to be an excellent, excellent program. So I hope you guys decide to sign up. It's going to help out a ton. As always, thanks for watching these videos, and we will see you soon.